Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to everybody. It is the 6th of April, 2021, and we have convened today to discuss getting the most out of the Alma Cloud Apps. We have with us today Josh Weisman from the Vice President of Development at Ex Libris, and myself, Yoel Kortick, Senior Librarian at Ex Libris, and our itinerary is as follows. We're going to have an introduction by Josh for 10 minutes, giving a general overview of the cloud apps, how they're developed, how institutions can develop them, how they are in use today, what the future is looking like, etc. Then we're going to have a 40-minute live demo. The live demo is going to include the following cloud apps in this order. As you notice at the end, I have the Print Bib Records, the HathiTrust, and the Alma Refined Cloud app. I left those at the end because we have shown those at the beginning. And in 40 minutes, we probably won't have enough time to show 7 of them, but we will get those at the beginning. The roll toggler we also showed, but because there's such interest in it, we want to show that one again. The delete your sets one, the second one there, is really a fantastic one. That's a result of a hackathon done by the ANZREG group. That's the Australia, New Zealand Ex Libris users group, and they made a really nice cloud app to delete sets. We're going to start off with the bulk scan-in cloud app, which is really a nice one as well, something people have been wanting basically since the beginning of Alma. We'll take a look at that. And unless there's any questions or comments, I'm going to turn this over now to Josh for his 10-minute introduction and overview. Are there any questions or comments from anybody? Nothing. Okay, so Josh, I am changing your role to the presenter, and you should be able to take it away now.
Great, thanks, Yoel. Hi, good morning, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. Let me go ahead and share my screen. And we'll put this into presentation mode. Okay, great. So as Yoel said, we'll just give a brief introduction now to cloud apps. Hopefully, all of you on the call have heard about cloud apps. You know more or less what they are, and that's why you're joining us today. So I'll give some additional updates along the way as well. But just to give some background briefly, so we introduced cloud apps last year, and the great thing about them, of course, is that they're an extension to our open framework, and they allow developers, members of the community, Ex Libris folks, partners to build apps that can then run inside of Alma. Of course, you know that, and Yoel will show some of those great examples later. And that allows us to be more efficient. It allows the library to use apps that the community has built, or to build apps themselves that increase efficiency for their users. And allows us to respond in a more agile way, right? So of course, Ex Libris could build all of the features under the sun, but we know that no company in the planet can build everything that could possibly be used by every customer. And so this really extends the platform and allows developers, people in the community, to build apps and to kind of extend the software that Ex Libris provides and respond in an agile way. So what are the kinds of things that we can do? So again, as I say here, institutions can offer time-saving solutions and time-saving apps that are built by the community or by themselves. Users can benefit from all of the apps that are being built by everyone around the world, including the results of the great hackathon that was held in Australia and New Zealand in the past couple of weeks, and I'll talk a bit about that. And then developers can build apps and can make them available within the Ex Libris Higher Ed platform, within Alma, so that their users can go ahead and use those apps without needing to download anything or deal with an API key or deal with a runtime environment or any of that. And we really have seen so far now, we've seen out of all the apps that we have so far, we've seen still these 3 different types of use cases. So we see new functionality being added to Alma, things which were not supported previously. We see productivity gains, so workflow shortcuts, Maybe there are flows that are not particularly optimized to an institution's needs. So you can build an app or use an app that provides those productivity shortcuts. And then we can also integrate with external systems. So another app which is in use by customers in Australia, for example, is integration with AdLib, which is an archival management system. And so in the past, users would have to go in and do double entry or work in both systems. And because of a cloud app that was built to integrate between Alma and AdLib, now the librarians can do most of their work in Alma, the archivists can do their work in AdLib, and the two systems talk to each other. So when I catalog a record, or when I receive a PO or an invoice in Alma, I can send that data automatically and not have to do the double entry into that system. So that's an example of an integration between Alma and an external system. So right before we get to Yoel's demos, I'll just pop out here and show a few links. So on the developer network, we have the App Center. So the developer network, of course, is developers.exlibrisgroup.com, or you can search for Ex Libris developer network, and Google will take you right there. So in the developer network, we have this tab called App Center. So for the most part, the developer network is a place for developers to get all the information they need to build apps and integrations and do all the technical stuff with Alma. And in this tab here in the App Center, we have a place for developers to showcase their work. So it could be programs you can download or scripts you can download and run. And of course, we have within the App Center now, we have a whole section for cloud apps. And we see here a list of 29 apps which have been built so far within cloud apps. That's really an amazing achievement in the past couple of months to see 29 different apps that are already available. And the nice thing, of course, about the App Center is that it's all searchable by Google. So if you're looking, for example, can Alma load a list of users in a CSV file? So the answer is that Alma can't do that. But if you Google that, you will see that there is an app for that. And so you'll be able to use the app, which will allow you to load users from a CSV file. So all of these apps here are searchable. Each one has a home page. And we see that the first three apps here on this first line are actually the result of the Australia-New Zealand user group hackathon that was held in March. And there were the group was broken up into teams. Each team had some developers and some librarians who helped them with the requirements. And the result of that is 3 and soon 4 apps that are available for anyone to try out, including ones that one that Yoel will show later, one that particularly works with Trove in Australia, and so you can see here a list of all different apps, including those that are a result of the latest hackathon. We see here also the CSV loader app that I mentioned before, and when you click on an individual app within the developer network, you can see some screenshots. You can get some information about it. You provide some more information about who built the app, when it was last updated, what version it's on. You can even click over and see details about the latest version. You can see more information about which organization built it. And so all this is available for you to take a look at when you're kind of deciding or exploring which apps to install and to use. Okay, so that's real briefly what the Cloud App Framework is all about, why we built it, some of the great apps that are already available. Yoel is going to do a demo of some of those apps, and then I'll come back at the end and talk a little bit about, for those who are interested in building apps, I'll give you some more guidance about where to go from here. Yoel, I'll pass it back to you.
Okay, thanks a lot. And we're just going to jump right in now. No more theory. It's all jumping in. I will, however, point out, I'm going to the developers Ex Libris Group Com website, the developers network. And if you
just want
the
to
blog
share.
and you simply, I'm not sharing my screen. Thanks for letting me know. The famous not sharing screen. It's either not sharing screen or on mute. Okay, so now I'm sharing and not on mute. Okay, so I'm in the developers Ex Libris group the developers network. And if you come here to blog and you just search for cloud apps, you'll see, or where am I? Just search for cloud apps here. You'll see that we've got several blogs about the different ones, how to install and use the bulk scan, for example. We're going to see that today, how to install and use the roll toggler, et cetera, et cetera. So they're all here, and you can come along. You can go by the tag Cloud Apps, and you'll see them all. Okay, so let's jump right in. Let's say, for example, that I'm in Alma, and I happen to have under Admin Manage Sets, many sets that I've created over the last who knows how long, and I want to start getting rid of them. Within Alma, I can delete them by going to the row actions and then by delete. However, there may be a case where I want to delete multiple sets all at once, and only sets which are created by me. I'm now logged in. Let me just get rid of this extra window that keeps popping up here. So I'm now logged in. Let me go back home here as user Alicia Chen. She's the Alma user that we often use here, our fictitious fake user when we're doing demos. So I should be able to only delete sets created by myself, Alicia Chen. And here we have a Cloud App. I'm going to the Cloud App Center. I'm clicking the 4 squares on the top right. And I've got a list of all of the apps that I already have installed. In fact, I'm going to take this delete your sets one, and I'm going to remove it so that together we can install it. So now I no longer have delete your sets as a Cloud App. I'm going to install it from scratch. You'll see how easy it is to install and use a Cloud App. But first, in order to show also that I don't need to just go search for all the Cloud Apps, Alma will recommend to me what Cloud Apps I can use depending on what I have on the screen. So for example, if I say admin manage sets, and I come in my sets, and now I go to the Cloud Apps, and I go to available apps, I've got a list here of all of the different apps, and I've got delete your sets. All I need to do is click install. It took 2 seconds, not even 2 seconds, 2 nanoseconds. It's already installed, and now I can open it. So now I've installed, and I'm ready to use the Cloud App called delete your sets. Now, what it's doing behind the scenes now, just for general knowledge, is it's running an API, and it's bringing all the list of sets that are filtered on the screen. I have here content type all titles. So here on the right, I have content type all titles. And let's say I want to remove, content type all titles. So here I only see ones that are all titles. Here you see the content type is all titles. Here I see all titles. If I had set and it says 11, and I have 11 here on the right. However, if I had changed this now, for example, to physical items, now if I come to the Cloud App again, which by the way, this time I'm going to pin open, and you'll see what that is. I'm going to open it again. So now it's going to bring me only the sets of type physical items. You see there's 3 of them. The first checkbox is to check all. These are the names of the sets. So every time it's bringing me only those sets that I have filtered on the left side. I want to point out, even though we did say it, but I want to say it again to give credit where credit is due. This was developed by the Sydney University of Technology as part of the ANSREG hackathon that Josh and I also discussed at the very beginning. This was not created by Ex Libris. This was created by a user group as you'll see, maybe even the majority, correct me if I'm wrong, Josh, I don't know if it's the majority of them have at this stage been created by users, but in any case, very many of them. We started Ex Libris creating them ourselves, and then it really took off, and I would say perhaps now the majority are created by the user groups. So now I can start deleting. I'm going to click this pin here, which all throughout the Cloud Apps makes the Cloud App appear and all of the rest of the screen, because you can see now part of the screen is covered by the Cloud App. If I remove the Cloud App, so now I see, for example, the back button, the manage column display, and then when this is open, now it covers part of the screen. However, if I click this pin, that pins it open and moves everything so that it's all adjusted. So now I've got this delete sets, and I can choose whichever ones I want to delete. I'm going to come here, and instead of choosing all titles or physical items, I'll say all. So now it's going to give me all of the sets. And again, it's only giving me the sets that me, my user, I am Alicia Chen, only the ones that Alicia Chen has created. So here they are, and let's say I want to get rid of the one called All ABC, and I want to get rid of this one here called 2021-02-181805, and I want to get rid of this one here called SV, and this one here called Z1. So I'll choose whichever ones I want and delete. Yes, delete sets. So I'm able to delete sets in bulk. I just select which sets I want to delete, click delete sets, and they get deleted. Definitely a great time saver, because without that, I need to go to each one and manually choose delete. So now I have them all together. By the way, even if I was in the all sets, and I can see here that these are created by all different users, that deleted by, these were created by a user called Anna A, and another one called M. Smith, and another one called Direct, and you'll see there's 853 sets. However, even if I was in the all sets part, and I ran this, let's run it from scratch. Not that I need to stop and start every time, but I want to show what's happening here. So if I choose it now, it's still going to bring me, even though I'm not in the My Sets tab, no, excuse me, I need to go to the My Sets, and it says that right here, to go to admin, manage sets, My Sets. And then it's going to bring them all, and then I can go and delete whichever ones I want. Okay, I'm going to stop here. That was 8 minutes on one Cloud App. If we keep at that rate, we won't be showing very many. I did see a chat come in. Let's see what it says. Actually, a cross-institutional team. Okay, so I had stated that this was created by the Sydney University of Technology, and I have been corrected. Thank you for the correction. It was actually created by a cross-institutional team. And the person is also happy, he or she says, nice to see one of our hackathon apps starring in the presentation. I actually wanted to show 2 of the hackathon ones, but we only have an hour, which includes a 10-minute introduction and a 10-minute summary, so I couldn't. But yes, they're very nice apps, and I'm sure they're going to be very useful. By the way, that brings me to my second comment. You can send in whatever you'd like as far as comments go. I don't mention the person's name, so no one will know it's you. You can say whatever you'd like. From this app and from all apps, while I'm in here, you can get to all of the information on it. You see, I'm clicking the ellipsis here, the 3 dots, and then I've got this question mark here, which if I click the question mark, it goes straight to the explanation of this on the GitHub, explains how it works, etc. And also, let me go back here. Oh, what happened there? Looks like my browser got messed up. Okay, here we are. So here, again, the 3 dots, and I can go to the information, and that'll bring me to the Developers Network introduction to this. So you can get information also on this directly from within the app. So you've got the blogs, which I showed at the beginning. You've got a link right inside here to the GitHub. GitHub is the environment where the source codes of all of these are made, and someone can open up a case there for the person who created it. And then, of course, we've got the deletion. Okay, so I'm going to stop with that one if there's no more questions, and I'm going to move on to the bulk scan. Bulk scan is a great one. Probably the second best app created in the past month or so. The first best created one is probably the delete sets. The third best created one is probably the Spinomatic Cloud app, but that's just my personal opinion. So maybe Josh will even do one time a competition, and all of the community will vote for the best developed app every month, something like that. But we'll save that for later. So now I've got the bulk scan. Now this is something I know at least since summer of 2012. People have been requesting this because I remember the person who was requesting it in the summer of 2012. Hint, it was the first Alma institution to go live. Who knows the first Alma institution to go live? We're going to do a quick little trivia here. Send in the answer if you think you know who the first Alma institution to go live was. Way, way back. It seems like ancient history already. That's right, Boston College. Boston College was the first institution to go live, summer of 2012. Let's move on. So what we're going to look at now is a situation where there's a lot of items in a certain location or a certain process status, and to get them out of that process status, they need to be scanned in. For example, let's say I have a work order department, which is called the disinfection department, which was popular actually during Corona. I'm speaking about the Corona COVID already in the past, even though we know it's still with us, but I think if I talk about it in the past, it's going to give it a little power to really be in the past. So during Corona, for those of you who may remember that period, many institutions set up a work order department where returned items would need to sit there and either be disinfected or be quarantined for a certain amount of time. And then all of those items would need to be scanned in to be put back in place. So scanned in at the circulation desk. Another situation might be a lot of items were moved to the reserve area. And then the institution would need to do as follows. They need to make sure they're at the desired circulation desk, like I'm doing right here. And then they would need to come into fulfillment, scan in items, and then scan in the item. And then they need to take the whole pile of items and start scanning one by one. So what do people want? To be able to take a file of barcodes, load that file somewhere, and have it all scanned in. And in order for that to work, there would need to be an interface which would state, where am I now? In other words, what circulation desk am I at? Or not only what circulation desk am I at, what department am I at? Because it might be a department. Like here, we got the disinfection department. Then there'd also need to be in that interface all of the necessary checkboxes here, which are used when scanning something in. So that has been developed. It's a cloud app. We're going to look at it right now. And I get another pop-up here to stop my video due to bandwidth, so I'll stop the video. All right, so let's take a look at something. First of all, I have a sample file here. This is called bulk scan and barcodes text, and it's just a simple file. The input file should not have a header. It needs to be a text file, and it's one barcode after the other, one on each row. Not an Excel file, not a Word document, a text file, TXT, with no header. Okay, so I've got my input file. Now, let's say I want to move all of these items to the disinfection department. I've got the file of barcodes. How I got the file of barcodes is another issue we won't get into. It could be that I create a set in Alma, and then I export it export the barcodes. That could be one option. Could be that I made it in analytics and exported it. Could be many ways. So I've got my file. And let's take a look at the first one, just as an example, to make sure whatever is happening really will happen. So let's go to items, physical items, and I'll search for this barcode. Boom. And we see that this first barcode is in place in the main library. Let's take one more, just to make sure it's not a fluke that we chose one and it happened to work. So let's take the second one here. And we see that it too is in place in the main library. So I'm going to take this whole set, move it to the disinfection department. How do we do that? First of all, let's go to the apps. I'm not going to install it this time because we already saw how easy it is to search for and install an app. And I'm going to look for the bulk scan-in. There it is. And I'm going to open it. Now, this requires configuration. The other one didn't require any configuration. The first one we did, that was the one where we deleted sets. This one, I need to configure, where am I? So I'm going to come to the three dots. Then I've got a cog wheel. And now I'm going to say that I'm at the main library. And I'm not going to be at the circulation desk. I'm going to be at a department. The department is going to be the disinfection department. Why am I putting in DISDEPT? Without doing a full lecture about managing work order departments in Alma, I'm going to go to configuration, go to the main library, and go to fulfillment, and go to departments or physical locations, and I'll have a DISDEPT, which is the department. Let's go this way, this way. Let's come here and here, and better yet, work order departments. Oh, it's under general. That was my mistake. Sorry about that, everybody. So we'll go main library, general. Okay, work order departments. And here it is. DISDEPT is my disinfection department. So in the Cloud app, I'm going to put DISDEPT because that's where I want these to be scanned in. So again, we got bulk scan in, open, configuration. I'm at main library. Then I'm at DISDEPT. So now when I scan in that file, it's going to scan it in as if I'm at the main library disinfection department. And I'm going to pin this open. I'm clicking this pin again, and you'll see the rest of the screen is going to move over. You see I don't see my full fines and fees widget here. But once I pin this, now I do, because everything adjusts. Those who are in my lecture about the new UI will recall the automatic adjustment for resolution and for size, and that's an example there. So I'll save these configurations. I'm not doing anything here that needs additional anything. I'm leaving the done there. That's fine. Well, let's actually unclick the done. Save. Okay. Now, I'll scan it in. I'm going to take that barcode file. I can either click here and choose, or I can drag her right in, but let's click here and choose. So bulk scan in barcodes, there it is. Here's the file here, bulk scan it, and now I'm going to click scan. And it says here what I said before, it's a text file, and each barcode is on a new line. Scan. Now it's scanning the file. In a moment, it's going to give us a log of each scan in. There we go, nice. So we see here each one was scanned in. This is the log I'm looking at down here. And it says each of these titles is now managed locally, being disinfected. It's in a process type being disinfected, etc. So now if we go look at both of those barcodes that we looked at a moment ago, we see now that it's being disinfected and it's at the disinfection department. That's the first one we looked at, and I believe the second one ended in a 7. No, it was 475. Okay, 475, boom. Okay, and it also is in not in place, being disinfected. So all of those items in one shot were scanned in at the disinfection department. Now I'm going to scan them in again at the disinfection department. Those of you who know work orders, if I scan it in again, clicking done, that will put it into transit back to the main library, or back to the owning library to be more exact. So again now, let's go to that Cloud app. Again, I don't need to close and open every time. I'm closing and opening sometimes just to show how I get to these. So let's open this up again. And let's go to the configuration again. And I'm going to leave it the same because I still want to scan it in at the disinfection department. However, I'm going to choose done now. Done means when you're in a work order department, done means send it back to where it was. There's a couple of ways to get it out of the department. This is one way. I'll save that. And again, I'll choose that file. I'll scan in the file. Ooh, I got to pin that open. Sorry about that. Bulk. Open, pin. Okay, let's just check my configurations, make sure they're still saved. Yes, they are saved. And let's get that file again. Bulk scan in barcodes. Scan. Someone asked, what is the maximum amount of barcodes that can go into that file? Josh, are you aware what the limit is? I'm sure there's a limit. If someone had put in there 3 million barcodes, I would probably have an issue. But I don't know.
We can find out.
Pardon, Josh?
I don't know, but we can find out.
Okay, we'll look into that. Okay, so now we scanned in it again, and we have the log, and now you see that transit for reshelving. They're in transit going back to the library. So let's do a search here. And now we see it's in transit to the main library. Let's take the other example just to make sure it's not just by chance that one of these works. Instead of the 7.5 at the end, we'll do a 6.6 at the end. And it too is in transit to the main library. Now we want to take all these items and bring them back to the main library. So let's go again to the configuration. And now we want to go to the main library and to the code of the circulation desk. And the code of the circulation desk is main circ. I don't need anything else clicked here. I'll save the configuration, choose the barcode file, scan that in, wait for it to scan in. I'll see the log at the bottom. There we are. We've got the scan in here. It says, for example, reshelve to general. General is the collection. Let's do a search here. Instead of transit, now we search. And it's in the main library and item in place. Let's check one more. 7.5 at the end. And it too is item in place in the main library. Okay, that I'm sure you agree is really a top quality cloud app, great time saver, all in one shot, possible to scan in an entire file of barcodes. Very nice feature, always requested, and now you've got it. Okay, let me check the chat to see if there's anything else other than that question about the size of the input file. Let's go up here. Nope, no other questions. Let's just take a look here for the fun of it. I'm going to come to the information. There's an information and there's a question mark. The question mark will jump to the GitHub, and the information one will jump to the developers network. So this was made locally. Liron Mendez, one of our developers, and I don't see anything on the limit here, but like we said, we're going to be checking it. Okay, so let's move on. The next cloud app we want to show is the Spinomatic Cloud app. And that too, here, you can read all about it. I believe one of our senior librarians made a blog about it. Here we go. Now, this has changed. This is being developed at such a rapid rate that I'm afraid some of my screenshots here aren't even up to date anymore. But you can read all about it here. It says how to install it, how to configure it, how to use it. And that's what we're going to do now. So I'm not going to go through the whole blog here, but if you want to use the Spinomatic Cloud app, I highly recommend you look at this blog. And let's now go do it. So let's say I have an item, which by chance I do, which I called this one, by the way, sample for Spinomatic, example for printing spine label via Spinomatic Cloud app. Okay, so I've got 4 items here. And for those of you who are not aware of it, wait, let me see, who uses Spinomatic today? Today there's a Spinomatic, which is something that's installed on the PC. It was originally developed by Boston College. Many years ago, Ex Libris took over ownership of it. It's on the developers network. It can be downloaded, but it's not a cloud app. Who's using today Spinomatic to print barcodes? Anybody? Petta, what are you using for barcodes in your for printing spine labels in your institution? Anybody? Okay. People aren't answering. I assume many of you are using the Spinomatic. We know it's a very popular way to print barcodes. And now we're going to see it via the cloud app. Is everyone still with me? Can everyone just say, yes, I'm with you? Just answer me that you hear me. Because when I don't get a response, I get concerned that maybe there's okay, people hear me. Great. Okay, Petta doesn't use Spinomatic. Okay. So let's take a look at this. So we'll come to the cloud apps. We're clicking the Cloud App Center link here, the 4 squares on the top right. And we're in the cloud apps. We're going to pin it open. And now you see here we have suggested apps for this page. Alma already knows what apps are relevant for this page. For example, the CN Mark 100A quick editor is not here. Maybe I'm going to show that CN Mark one. That's going to be the next app because I see we have many people from our Chinese user group community here with us today. So we're going to show that one next. But back to our thing. So let's go to Spinomatic. So there's 2 configurations that need to be done in the Spinomatic. The first is to create a template, and the second is to create the overall setup. Let's take a look at what I'm talking about. I clicked the 3 dots, and I clicked the wrench, and I have templates, and I have layouts. So I already created a template, Yoel's template, and I created here test for SUNY New Palette. This is also a good opportunity to thank Maggie McGee from SUNY New Palette from SUNY, who has helped us very much in testing and advising on the development of this cloud app. So even though Maggie's not with us right now, she may be in the afternoon session. I want to thank Maggie for her assistance here. So I'm going to choose that template. It's very easy to add and remove fields here. You see I have this add field. Right now I have MMSID, call number, and barcode. And if I click add field, I can choose all of these. If I want the language, if I want the ISBN, etc., I can choose whichever fields I want. Do I want enumeration A, enumeration B, etc. Then for certain fields, such as call number and barcode, there are different options. For example, for barcode, I can say show as barcode, which means show those actual lines of a barcode. If I had a barcode with me here, I could tell you what I mean. You know what I mean, a barcode. The lines that get scanned in by the barcode scanner. Or do I want it to appear as a number? And for the call number, we also have options such as how do we want it to be parsed. But I'm not going to go into all the details here. You can see the blog and play around with it as well. Then we have layouts. The layouts determine how do the barcodes appear on the page. For example, I might have 3 across, 7 down, a total of 21. Maybe I have little margins between them, etc. And we have these layouts. And when you add a new one, we have templates for the layouts. We had these Averys, and Maggie, who I mentioned recently, suggested we also have the Demcos. So we added some Demcos. And that's the setup. That's a very basic introduction to the setup. So one way to print the barcodes is, as we have here, to do a search, and whatever's on the screen, I can print. So now I'm going to check all of these and say next, and then I'm going to print all 4 labels. By the way, the offset here is a very new development. If I have a page, we'll go back to those 21 labels on a page, and I already used 4 of them. So I want to start at the 5th one. So I could put here 5, and it would start at the 5th position. Print grid lines would give me those little lines in between. I'm going to print them. So here we go. You see, it's not starting at the top because this would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is the 5th one. The first 3 would be across the top, and then the 4th. I've got the MMS ID, the call number, and the barcode. Remember, I said print it as a barcode, not as a number. So we have the actual barcode. Now I'm going to print it to PDF because if I print it to an actual piece of paper, no one will see it. So I'll print to PDF, and I'll save it here as barcodes morning session and save. Let's go take a look at that. Now I've got my grid lines. You see 1, 2, 3, 4. It skipped 5 and went right to there. Here's my barcodes and/or spine labels and/or inside labels, whatever I want to call or do with them. Another way to print these, let me get out of here, is to have a set. So let's say, for example, I have physical items, keywords, Sheryl Sandberg. Okay, and I'll save this as a set, save query, and I'll call this Sheryl morning session. Save, because this afternoon, maybe we'll do a Sheryl afternoon session. So here, another way to print these is from a set. So if I choose set, and then I just start typing, it automatically goes. I have a set called Sheryl Sandberg and a set called Sheryl morning session. Let's take Sheryl morning session next, print 11 labels. Here they are. Oh, I still have my offset. Let me cancel that offset just so it looks a little nicer. So I'll go back to the configuration, click the wrench, go to my layout. Everything's good here. I'm going to change this just a bit so I've got 3 across. Oops. What was that? Sorry, everybody. It looks like I clicked the wrong thing. Okay. So if I say, I just want to make sure all my templates are good, back, set, clear this, print. Great. So now I've got them. Let's print these to PDF. Call this barcode morning session from set. Let's take a look at it. And here's my barcodes printed from the set. Or spine labels. This actually looks like it would be more of an inside label. Let's see if there's any questions or comments there. I'm going to go to the chat. Any questions or comments from anybody? No questions or comments. Okay, so let's go on. Josh, I'm going to show one more. We need 10 minutes at the end, and it's 9:47. So I don't know if this is on the list here of cloud apps, but I'm going to show it anyway because I see we have a lot of the Chinese Alma user group community with us, including the one and only Fu Cheng is with us. Hi, Fu Cheng. Fu Cheng is writing in now. Okay, so someone says the display order preference by a drag and drop of the installed apps may be a meaningful feature. Okay, let me take that. That's a good point. And I'm just going to put that here. This is a suggestion from one of our users. And I'm going to put that here so I've got it and we can discuss it later. In consideration of more and more cloud apps being available, the display order preference by drag and drop may be a meaningful feature. Okay, so if I understand correctly, the user is saying when we go to the cloud app list here, because we're developing at such a rapid rate and there's so many, people may want to change the order via drag and drop. Okay, point taken. Thank you for the suggestion. And let's go now to the Chinese mark one. So first of all, let me do an advanced search by record format. Bibliographic format. I believe I want record format. Yes. And I'm going to take CN mark. CN mark is Chinese mark. Search. Now, Chinese mark, for those of you familiar with Mark 21, the Chinese mark has a 100 field, which is similar to the LDR of the Mark 21. This 100 field is a control field, meaning each position is important. And it can be, I don't want to use the word cumbersome, but let's say there can be easier ways to edit this 100 field as opposed to manually, or as opposed to the Control F, which opens the form. So if I've got this record here now, this Chinese mark one, and I want to edit the 100 field, I could either manually navigate to the relevant place in the 100 field, or I can do a Control F and open the field in a form. That's this one here. If I do a Control F, I can do it this way, or I can just do it manually. However, there's even a better way, or I don't want to say a better way, there's an additional way. Let me release that. Yes, release it. Okay, and I'll get rid of this, and I'll go back. So let's say I want to change that 100 field. Now, let's take a look. This is the second one here. It's this title. Mega something. I see it has mega in it. Now note, I'm going to take a look here. Note, the 100 field has a D here. So if I say position 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, position 8 is a D. And if I come to the Cloud app, it already says suggested apps for this page. So it's only bringing me ones which are relevant here. For example, it's not bringing me the delete sets because delete sets isn't relevant here. It only brings me what's relevant. So if I choose the CN mark, I'm going to pin that open. Now I've got this D here, position 8D, and I can change it to something else. I don't need to go into the metadata editor and start changing it. So I'm going to choose E. Instead of D, I'm going to choose E. Save. Okay, it's working. And look at that. I don't even need to refresh the page. It's already E. Now I'm going to put it back to D. And I could change all the other fields too. I'm just using this as an example because it's easy to see. D, save. It's working, and put it back to a D. Okay. Any questions or comments on that cloud app? It's 9:52. We're going to get back to Josh for a summary and a Q&A. Any questions or comments before that? Nothing. Okay, Josh, I'm going to stop the sharing and turn it over to you. Do you have something to present, or should we just listen? You want me to give you presenting rights?
Yeah, sure. Please give me a presentation.
Okay, go ahead.
Great. Thanks, Yoel. Great demo as always.
Thank you.
So I'll just
Unfortunately, I
mention
could only show 3 of them, you know. It's we got such good stuff here.
So I'll just speak for a couple of minutes about what the next steps are if you want to build cloud apps. So I think Yoel gave a great ringing endorsement of why you want to use cloud apps as a user, as a staff user. So we saw Yoel showed how to search for them, how to install them, and how to use a few of them. In the first couple of slides, I showed how to explore, Google or the App Center and the developer network, how to explore for what cloud apps are available. But now let's say you're an institution that has some development capabilities and you would like to build one of these great cloud apps. So your first step is obviously figuring out what the requirements are, what you'd like to build, like any app or tool. And then your next stop for understanding how these cloud apps are built is the developer network. So I have on this slide, which will make available 3 different links. One to the developer network cloud apps section for developers for how to build. And the documentation includes a getting started guide and tutorials. So let me just hop out to there for a minute. I'm here in the developer network. There's a link here for cloud apps. Again, these are for developers for developing cloud apps. And here it talks about how to build them. And there's a link to the Getting Started guide, which really walks you through all of the steps required to install, including some videos for how to develop your first cloud app and how to publish your cloud apps. It has a whole bunch of tutorials that kind of walk you through all different use cases. How to do the styling and how to use all the different services and functionality that's available. And there's even a tutorials app that demos a lot of these features for how to build things inside of the cloud apps. And then, of course, there's in-depth documentation on all the different aspects of it. So the developer network / cloud apps, that's kind of the place to go to learn how to build those cloud apps. And as we talked about briefly before, the hackathon we'll mention again was a great example. The folks broke up into teams. The teams had developers and end users. The developers went through the demos, the tutorials. The end users were even installed a local environment to kind of test the app as it was being built. And so really a great job and a great example of how you can use this framework to build apps that answer your requirements. And if other people in other regions are interested in doing a hackathon, you can reach out to us, and we're happy to facilitate, to help out as much as we can, because I think it was a great example of community involvement. So just a plug here for how easy it is to get started building cloud apps. So if the things that Yoel showed you today seem interesting to you, and you have other use cases that you would like to get developed for your institution and for others in the community, this is a great place to get started. And in general, this last slide shows documentation about how to configure cloud apps in your environment. So if you are just getting started with cloud apps and you haven't yet configured them, this link here will take you to the online help with information about how to configure cloud apps. And then there's a link to the currently available cloud apps that I had showed earlier in the presentation. So we have just a minute or two. If anyone has any questions, be happy to answer. And if not, then we'll let you go. You can get started exploring and playing around with some of these great apps that you all showed today. Okay, well, thanks all. Thanks, Yoel. It was great to see everyone, and have a great day.
Josh, there's one question that came in.
Okay.
Would Ex Libris take comments from institutions that do not have the ability to develop a cloud app by themselves and help them build the apps? Who should they contact?
Well, the best place to ask questions about building cloud apps is in the developer network in the forum. There's a forum there for cloud apps. Ex Libris folks look at that, and also some other people in the community who are building cloud apps are there as well. And so if you post your question there, hey, has anyone built this cloud app? Would anyone be interested in building it? Then that'll give it the widest visibility. So in the developer network on the forum tab, click on the cloud apps forum.
Okay, thanks. Okay, everybody, so thanks for joining us. This or this afternoon's recording will be posted. We'll send out a message to the Alma list that the recording is there, and it'll be on the page that we showed earlier today. Thanks a lot, everybody, and have a nice day. Bye-bye.